so we will get started with the pre-meeting. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you want to lead on with the WWDC grant?
You betcha. And certainly I'll invite Mr. Brower up to help us through the bulk of this conversation, but fundamentally what you have in front of you this evening is an opportunity for us to seek funds for a project that we've been anticipating for some time now. We've been talking about it for a while, and we've, envisioned it in our rate model and those kinds of things, for the reconstruction of a 10 million gallon water facility, storage facility, to replace an aging facility that we have currently within our system. The hope is that we will take a large majority of the $12 million cost in the form of a grant and loan in order to make that project happen. And our hope is that you will give us that blessing to move forward and make application and hopefully have a lot of success with that process. Let me ask Mr. Brower, however, to come up and visit with you a little further so you can have a little more detail and insights pursuant to any questions I might have before we
Mayor, councilors, try and speak up. There's no mic here, so. Yeah, sorry.
Now you have to hum into it to make sure it works right.
Sorry, I can't carry a tune. I'm doing that right? What's going on? Yeah, Ben. Thank you. Mayor, councilors, I apologize for that technical difficulty there. The 10 million gallon reservoir was constructed in the 50s. And actually that location up there was the site of the first water storage tank for the city of Casper ever. And that tank was constructed in the 50s, in the late 80s, because it was leaking a lot, because it's a concrete tank that's buried below ground. They put a liner in that tank and put a new roof on it. And the tank is challenging because it's very large. It's essentially kind of the hub of all the water system for the city of Casper. The water is pumped from the water treatment of that location and then distributed to other zones. And so it's a very, very important reservoir. And we've been talking about replacing this tank in my career for at least 10 or 15 years. It's been in two consecutive master plans. And one of the challenges is when we've had troubles with that tank, it's a single big reservoir, 10 million gallons. So if anything goes wrong, you lose all that storage. And so the plan has been conceptualized, frankly, for years. And in the latest master plan that was done by CEPI, and before that, when HDR looked at that tank, was to build 2 above grade water storage tanks. And that way, if there's ever a problem with one of them or you need to coat it, you can leave one in service while you paint the other tank. And so the cost estimate for the project is about just a little over $8 million, $8,040,000. And the plan is, or excuse me, I wish we'd show the total number first. The total cost of the project is about $12 million. Apologize, $12 million. So the plan for that water storage tank is to seek Water Development Commission funding. One of the critical things for Water Development Commission funding is to have it identified in a previous water system master plan. It's been identified in 2 of those. And again, the hopes traditionally, at least for the last 15 or 20 years, WWDC has been funding projects at a 67% grant level, which would mean $8,040,000 would come from WWDC and by way of a grant, and the remaining $3,960,000 would be a match. The plan for that match is a SRF loan. That's 2.5% interest rate, 20-year term, and currently it's 25% principal forgiveness. So of that roughly $4 million, we'd only have about a $3 million loan for a $12 million water facility to replace one that is, 75 years old, giving us some operational problems, still leaking to some level, and is challenging because it's one big giant reservoir. not to editorialize too much, but in the old days when you built tanks, you just built them bigger. And with water quality issues today and our residual disinfection being chloramines, bigger can often be more problem than smaller. And so having two smaller tanks that allow us more flexibility in storage makes it much easier to operate the water system and to maintain water quality throughout the water system. So with that, I would be glad to entertain any questions you may have.
Where can I get that one? Those are some pretty good rates.
Council Pollock.
Can you talk a little bit about the recommendation to build the new tanks above ground? What's the advantage of that versus keeping something below ground?
Yeah, Mayor, Councillor, that's a great question. A lot of debate has gone on for years where certain municipalities like to build below grade tanks. One of the challenges I have with below grade tanks is they're almost exclusively concrete. One of the challenges with concrete is it gets hard and it cracks. And so it has a tendency to leak. And especially given our soil conditions that we have in Casper, where we have predominantly clay soils that can be expansive or settling, that can cause cracks in that. Additionally, below grade tanks are probably twice the price of above grade tanks. So in my career, I guess maybe I've designed and built maybe 20 or 30 water storage tanks. Never done a below grade tank, just because usually from a cost standpoint, the benefit is never there. I've seen them in places that are Aspen or somewhere like that, where they're worried about the aesthetics of it. But for the most part, and if you build them below grade, you build them like we built our tennis courts recently, post-tension concrete. So you try and keep them from cracking, or you put one heck of a lining system in there, whether that's a sprayed-in lining system or a synthetic liner. So a lot more expensive, operationally a little more challenging. The other thing that's nice about an above grade tank is if there is a leak or a problem because you see it. And below grade tanks, often it's very challenging.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Mayor, what we'll do is we'll have a formal action item come forward and then pursuant to hopeful success, we will also bring forward a grant agreement that would outline a lot of these stipulations.
Very good. Sounds like a plan.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do we have anything for the agenda review?
I do not, Your Honor.
Anybody else have any questions, comments about the agenda? Then I will see you in 19 minutes. This evening, I would like to remind everyone to silence their cell phones. Council meetings are live streamed on the city's YouTube channel. I now call the August 20th, 2024 regular council meeting to order. The chair would entertain a motion to, by minute action, excuse the absence of Councilor Pacheco.
So moved.
All voting aye,
Aye.
all voting nay. Please record the vote.
All councilors voting aye, the motion passes.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Hang on just a minute. We have a young gentleman here as a visitor. Would you like to come up and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Okay.
He's my shy one. The other one is 5 and a firecracker, and he would be like, I don't know it, but yeah, I'll do it.
Okay, very good then. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I tried to catch it.
Please read the consent minute approval titles.
Approving the minutes of the August 6, 2024 regular council meeting as published in the Casper Star Tribune on August 17, 2024, and the minutes of the August 6, 2024 executive session.
The chair would entertain a motion to approve the consent minute action agenda items just read. Any abstentions or nay votes? All voting aye.
Aye.
Please record the vote.
All counselors voting aye, the motion passes.
The chair would entertain a motion to approve by minute action the August 2024 general bills and claims as audited by City Manager Napier.
So moved.
Second.
Any abstentions or nay votes? All voting aye.
Aye.
Please record the vote.
All counselors voting aye, the motion passes.
The chair would entertain a motion to approve by minute action the August 2024 conflict claim as audited by City Manager Napier.
So moved. Oh, second.
Any abstentions or nay votes? I would like to abstain from this one. All others voting aye.
Aye.
Please record the vote.
With Mayor Kathy abstaining and all other counselors voting aye, the motion passes.
We would like to welcome Amy Oatley and Linda Blackstone to the meeting tonight. Please come forward to introduce yourselves and discuss Senior Citizens Day before I read and present the proclamation.
Mayor Kathy and Council. Seems I'm at this podium a lot. Our senior citizens are very dear to us and very revered. And as you all know, I am quite passionate about our seniors. They have given the vast majority of their life. They have worked. Their health is declining, as is all of us every single day. And they approach each day with reverence and humility. We owe a great deal to them as they have set our past and our future. There is a proclamation for this day is actually today nationally, but I fully think that it's completely deserved by them, and we owe them a lot. I really wasn't prepared for a speech. Thanks, Mike.
We love putting people on the spot.
Yes.
Did you have anything else to say?
I would just like to invite everyone to come to the senior center and see what we do there. It's a great place for our seniors and really for anyone. There's congregate meals, there's all kinds of activities, socialization, there's card games, exercise classes to keep our seniors moving, bingo, a lot of good things happening there. So we'd just like to invite you all to visit with us.
And I would invite everybody to come out for your Night at the Races, which is one of your great fundraisers and a wonderful time. So I think several of us here have participated in that as jockeys, and it's a wonderful evening. So
Thank you for that. That's coming up again, April 26th. The date is already in place.
very good. I will now read the proclamation. Oh, I'll come around here. It is important to acknowledge the contributions senior individuals have made in our communities and in the workplace to the economic well-being of our nature through civic leadership and mentoring. And whereas our expanding elderly population profoundly impacts every facet of our lives, redefining our ideas of work, retirement, and leisure, altering our housing and living arrangements, challenging our healthcare systems, reshaping our economy, and altering social and public policy. And whereas over 5,800 people 65 years and older live alone in Natrona County, 20% of Wyomingites over 65 work full or part-time, yet nearly 1,400 persons 65 and older have an income below the poverty line in Natrona County. And the senior population 65 years and older will increase by 47% from 2022 to 2050. And whereas the opportunities and challenges that await us require our continued commitment to the goal of ensuring that our senior citizens enjoy active, productive, and healthy lives and do so independently. The city of Casper joins the national tradition of designating August 21st as Senior Citizens Day and a time to celebrate senior Americans and rededicate our efforts to better serving their needs. Now, therefore, I, Stephen Cathy, Mayor of the City of Casper, do hereby proclaim Wednesday, August 21st as Senior Citizens Day in the City of Casper and express appreciation for continuing contributions of the city's senior citizen residents to our community. In witness whereof, I hereby unto set my hand and cause the official seal of the City of Casper, Wyoming to be affixed this 20th day of August, 2024. There you go.
Overjoyed, we will hang this up in the center. And I'm sure that our patrons, our seniors will be delighted. I will make an announcement of this as well.
Very good.
Again, thank you all. They are, as you know, I think goes without saying, they're very dear to me.
Thank you. And very quickly, before we continue on, I want to make one brief announcement. Today is election day. The polls are open for another hour, roughly till 7 o'clock. So if you haven't voted, please get out and vote. Your voice is important. And if you don't vote, I don't want to hear your complaints. You have your chance to voice it. So, so much for my comments. So now is the time we invite anyone in the audience who wishes to speak with the council to come forward. This portion of the meeting is dedicated to the public to allow them time to discuss matters of public interest and to voice their concerns. Please state your name, direct all questions or comments to the mayor. No personal obscenities or threats will be tolerated. Council will not respond to personnel matters. These will be referred to the city manager. Councilors may ask clarifying questions, but if they choose to respond to matters, they will do so during the scheduled council response time following communications from persons present. Presentations will be limited to 5 minutes and no time extensions will be permitted. Please note that public hearings and ordinances each have their own separate comment periods.
Mr. Mayor, Council, you guys saw me 2 weeks ago and I wanted to come and give an update as to our current situation. I spoke August 6th. The 7th, I called the police to come and pick him up on his warrant. They did not listen to my instruction that they have a literal system that if the police show up that they will whistle so that he can run inside the house. So he got away. On the 9th, I called dispatch. They listened to me and he was arrested. They also that night stickered the van for publicly parking or living in there. That morning, he went to go check. One of the people that's living at the house went to go check the van, saw the sticker, saw what presumably looked like a citation. He openly flips off my camera and says, "F you, you piece of crap. I'll let you actually put in the real words in there." I called non-emergency to notate that, and they said there's absolutely nothing we can do about that. Awesome. Also on the 9th through 10th, the girlfriend that resides at the residence was picked up on a, what was it, powder crystal possession charge. So the whole time I've been told that there's not drugs in the house, there's not drugs in the house, there's nobody coming in and out of drugs. Guess what? There's drugs in the house. That young man lives there. He lives right next door. They were out He has since left. Since the 9th and the 10th, there has been zero police interaction on our block at all. There has been no drive-bys, there has been no cruise-bys, there has been absolutely nothing. They came by, pop. These are career criminals. I live in a nice neighborhood. We live in a good section of PD. I don't understand. These people are literally squatters. They don't own the house. They don't live there. They show up, they come, they go when they want to. Since the 9th and the 10th, it has been a free-for-all, ever since. Because like I said, the police presence has been zero. It was about throwing a bucket on a 10-acre fire. New people have shown up with backpacks, which my uncle was a 35-year police officer with the Oklahoma City Police Department. He was Quantico trained by the FBI. I know a thing or two about drug interaction. That typically means that. The Durango guy has openly went out and siphoned gas about every other night. I called dispatch to let them know, and officers were uninterested in coming out and seeing the video that I had. You literally hear him on video say, "Yeah, hey man, I got you about 15 gallons last night," as they're literally siphoning gas out of a 30 or 40 gallon drum in the back of a truck into all the vehicles parked in front of the house. There was a burglary this Saturday morning. I actually called it in. The people that are doing the thieving actually got thieved themselves. Two people walked up the street, came to my house, walked down the street, walked in their garage with flashlights, grabbed a bunch of stuff, and took off running down the street. Again, the police came out, were pretty uninterested. I told the officer that she was picked up on a possession charge, and he was like, "Well, you know, sometimes people make mistakes." And I'm like, not when it's a career. Like, yeah, this has been ongoing for years. They're still sleeping in their vehicles on the street at my house, leaving oil stains on the street from their vehicles. They sit there at 3 o'clock in the morning and they'll flick cigarettes out the window. Lit. It's not good. They're still in and out, leaving and coming at all hours of the night. They stole 9 sheets of plywood between midnight and 1 a.m. Saturday and Sunday morning. School starts next week. My wife is a school teacher and has already started back. My son came in my room at 1:30 in the morning this morning because guess what? The meth addicts next door woke him up. And there's nothing we can do about it because you call, they leave, they come, they go, they leave, they come, they go, all hours of the night. And I don't know what to do. I'm at a loss. I've had zero follow-up. Mr. Bond, you're the only person that's followed up with me since the last council meeting. And I appreciate your dedication to me and my family and for trying to secure our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, good evening. I just have a short thing. One of my concerns is overuse of acronyms. I've brought this up before. So I was reading the packet for this evening, and on page 7 is the bills and claims that were approved at the August 6th meeting. On page 7 at the top, third item down, is over $1 million. It says goods, and then it says CWRWS. What does that mean? Is there a way that we can have more detail for the public to know who the vendor is? And there maybe is another spot where it says more than goods, maybe a little description. Maybe I'm not looking at the whole document, but on that page. So somebody can explain what who or what is CWRWS. Thank you.
Any other comments from the public? I would need to go back and look and see. Oh, whoops. Would any counselors like to briefly respond to any of the matters brought up by the public during communications from persons present? Councilor Gamroth.
Thank you, Mayor. You gonna respond to Mr. Strickland's?
Say again,
You're gonna respond to Mr. Strickland's?
unless I'm mistaken, that is the Central Wyoming Regional Water System.
I wanted to follow up on the gentleman's testimony, that spoke first. I really empathize with your situation. I appreciate you coming back to our meeting and making sure that this doesn't fall off the radar, because I know that you're not alone in the experience that you're having. I know there's, this is not a singular incident, that we have, multiple incidents like this occurring around the community. And so, Mr. City Manager, I wonder if we could get an update maybe from the chief or from someone, not necessarily in this particular matter, I know there's private identifiable information and stuff, and we gotta be mindful of that, but I guess I thought with the adjustment to our camping ordinance, it would give us more ability to act in these sorts of circumstances. And so I guess I'm curious, if there's still flaws in ordinance or if there's flaws in processes, I would love to know what more we could do for this gentleman, because again, I know he's not alone. And I can only imagine living adjacent to this, having to put up with this on a day-to-day basis. I completely understand your frustration. And as a father to a young child myself, I think your concerns are totally warranted. And so I don't know what that would look like in the form of maybe a presentation from the chief during a work session, or if we could even just get a memo, filling in some of the, gaps. I'm curious to learn more about this. So what context do you think would be best to bring us up to speed?
Certainly, Mr. Mayor, Counselor, there is quite a bit of information we could fill in with respect to gaps, as you mentioned. I think we need to also remember that indeed, while the speaker identified a couple of arrests that took place since the time that he came to visit with you, there have been other arrests that have been made as well that he failed to identify for some reason as well. And so from my perspective, I think the police officers do a fantastic job, and we can fill you in with respect to a lot of detail that hasn't been made available in these reports. And so we can do that in a work session. In some cases, we may need to do it in an executive session, but without a doubt, we can certainly supply you a whole host of information and bring you up to speed, as it were. Pertaining to the initial question with regard to sleeping in cars and camping in cars and that kind of thing, that very much is something we can enforce. And without a doubt, when we're aware of these kinds of things, we can follow up, and we do follow up. Camping in vehicles on city streets is you correctly identified, not permissible. And we do enforce those kinds of things fairly often. So I'm not of the belief that PD is being unresponsive. I disagree. And I'm not willing to buy the argument that the police are doing nothing in that neighborhood. I think that's incorrect. And so suffice it to say, in terms of a abbreviated answer, that's what I would offer for now. But without a doubt, we can have an extended conversation.
Thank you. I would welcome that.
Councilor Pollock.
Thanks. I was gonna respond to Mr. Strickland's inquiry about the acronym, so that's been cleared up.
I would like to get with you later on to see how the meeting went today.
You got it.
Or I could listen to your updated council around the table.
Sure. Yep.
Very good. Any other comments? Thank you, Mr. City Manager.
Thank you.
Please read the consent agenda. Aye.
Establish September 3rd, 2024 as the public hearing date for an ordinance approving a rezone of 519 South Poplar Street and 921 West Midwest Avenue from zoning classification OYD SPC-FBC to C2 General Business.
The chair would entertain a motion to by minute action to establish the public hearing date just read.
So moved. Second.
Any abstentions or nay votes? All voting aye.
Aye.
Please record the vote.
With all counselors voting aye, the motion passes.
Now declare the public hearing open for the consideration of an ordinance approving a plat, rezone, and subdivision agreement for Mount Hope Edition Number 2. Acting City Attorney, do you have any exhibits?
Mayor and Counselor, exhibit number 1 is correspondence from Liz Becker to J. Carter Napier dated August 16, 2024. Exhibit number 2, Casper Star Tribune affidavit for publication on August 6, 2024.
Thank you. Mr. City Manager, do you have a report?
I do, Your Honor. Thank you very much. The applicant has made a request with respect to the piece of land that you see here, comprising of 4 existing lots, all contained within the blue shape that you see on your exhibit here, with the desire to replat all of those lots into one 6-acre parcel. The challenge that we face with respect to the combination of lots of this nature is that we normally run into multiple zoning classifications in these situations, therefore necessitating a rezone so that indeed this whole property can be one classification instead of multiple classifications, which code doesn't allow. The request is that this also be rezoned to R2, making it all consistent and appropriate for the development that is soon to be taking place pending your favorable review.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. Council will now listen to public comment. These are limited to 5 minutes and no duplication of speakers will be allowed. At this time, I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in favor of the proposed ordinance to please approach the lectern.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Councilman, for taking the time to listen to this and consider this. I'm Bob Doctor. I'm a member of Mount Hope Lutheran Church and the current treasurer. I'm here to represent the church and of course speak in favor of what you see proposed here. If you remember the photo that was up before, and you've already addressed the property to the south of us there that has been redone for Luther Classical College. They've just about completed moving over 30,000 yards of dirt from the college site down to our low spot over here. And they've also leveled off the southwest corner there. And we're kind of bursting at the seams. And so our hope is that someday we'll be able to build a new church, a larger church over in the southwest corner of that site there. And so it's not a guarantee, but we hope that someday we'll be able to do that. We've had to go to 2 services on Sunday now, which means twice as much work for the elders and the ushers and the pastors. But we are looking forward to this, and we are anticipating even more growth with the college. You maybe have heard that they plan to open for classes in the fall of 2025, and we're in the process of preparing to build the first dorm. So this is all kind of part of that big picture thing. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Questions?
Sit down. Thank you.
Looks like we're good. Thank you. Any others to speak in favor? This time I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in opposition to the proposed ordinance to please come forward. There being no others to speak for or against the proposed ordinance, I now declare the public hearing closed. Please read the ordinance by title only.
An ordinance approving a plat creating the Mount Hope Addition Number 2, the associated subdivision agreement, and a rezone of the proposed Mount Hope Addition Number 2 to R2.
The chair would entertain a motion to approve on first reading the ordinance just read. Any discussion?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm not sure who this is directed to. I was just zooming in on the picture. West side of Mulberry, is that an actual junkyard? There's a pile of cars, a huge pile of cars.
Mr. Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, we can certainly follow up on that and see what we've got going on for there. We have codes for that.
Yes,
Sure,
thank you.
absolutely.
Good eye. Any other discussion? Any amendments? Any abstentions or nay votes?
I'm going to be abstaining on this.
Very good. All voting aye,
Aye.
please record the vote.
With Vice Mayor Engelbrechtson abstaining and all others voting aye, the motion passes.
Please read the ordinance on second reading by title only.
An ordinance approving a zone change for Lot 24, Block 98 of the Casper Addition subdivision in the city of Casper, Wyoming.
The chair would entertain a motion to approve on second reading the ordinance just read.
So moved. I'll second.
Council will now listen to public comment. Do we have any public comment? Any discussion amongst council members? Any amendments? Any abstentions or nay votes? All voting aye,
Aye.
please record the vote.
With all councilors voting aye, the motion passes.
Please read the ordinance on third reading by title only.
An ordinance amending various chapters of Title 15, Building and Construction of the Casper Municipal Code regarding international codes.
The chair would entertain a motion to approve and adopt on third reading the ordinance just read.
So moved.
Second.
Council will now listen to public comment. Do we have any public comment? Any discussion amongst council members? Any amendments? Any abstentions or nay votes? All voting aye,
Aye.
please record the vote.
With all councilors voting aye, the motion passes.
Yeah.
Council will now consider consent resolutions. Please read the consent resolutions by title only.
1181, authorizing amendment number 3 to the contract for professional services with Cone Incorporated for the Ford Wyoming Center hydraulic jack replacement. 1182, authorizing an affidavit of possession and claim under tax deed regarding 2118 South Jefferson Street, Casper, Wyoming. 1183, authorizing in the fiscal year 2025 contract with the State of Wyoming Office of the Attorney General, Division of Victim Services. 1184, approving the vacation and final plat creating the Blackmore Marketplace Edition Number 13 subdivision and approving the subdivision agreement. 1185, authorizing an agreement with Modern Electric Company for the lift station generator replacements project. 1186, authorizing a contract for professional services with Dynamic Controls Incorporated for professional services for the thermal lens procurement project. 1187, authorizing a grant application to the Wyoming Water Development Commission for the design and construction of the city reservoir improvement project. 1188, authorizing the mayor to sign a letter of support for inclusion in the feasibility study, proposing the designation of Natrona and Carbon counties as a national heritage area. 1189, approving a donation agreement between Radius Church and the city of Casper for a nativity lighting display to be located at the Healing Park on Conwell as part of Holiday Square. 11A10, authorizing a lease agreement with the Boys and Girls Club of Central Wyoming Incorporated for use of North Casper Ball Field Complex Fields 1 through 5, and North Casper Soccer Complex Field 11. 11A11, authorizing a lease agreement with the Casper Junior Football League for use of Mike Cedar Park, the Field of Dreams Complex, George Tenney Ball Field, and North Casper Ball Field Complex Field 12. And 11A12, authorizing an amended agreement with the Department of Justice to participate in the Equitable Sharing Program.
Please, the chair would entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda items just read.
So moved.
City manager, would you like to comment on any of these items?
Mr. Mayor, thank you. Just real quickly, 11A7 is indeed the application to the Wyoming Water Development Commission that we discussed in pre-meeting. Just the initial application.
You bet. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any abstentions or nay votes?
I'd like to abstain from 11A3.
You're going to abstain from one of them? Oh, okay.
I already
That was
did.
on that. That's right. Very good. Any other abstentions or nay votes? All voting aye?
Aye.
Please record the vote.
With Counselor Denson's abstention noted and all others voting aye, the motion passes.
At this time, we ask councilors to bring forward relevant concerns or items of interest. So I don't wind up overstepping you. We will start with Councilor Bond if you're ready to speak.
Thank you, Mayor. I attended the Youth Mental Health Collaborative today. And it was an interesting meeting. I think there was a good representation from various community organizations at the table. So that was encouraging to see. Their initial work was focused on the creation and dissemination and implementation of a community resource guide. So there's opportunity for many of the people in attendance to kind of share their hopes and dreams, I guess, for the work of the collaborative. So I think there's definitely a focus on getting that mental health support to our youth, and I'll let Councillor Haskins contribute as well. I'm sure she was there. And other than that, I was unable to make the regional water meeting today, but we'll be there next time. So that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Pollock.
Thank you, Mayor. Last week I had the, Lisa attended the NPO policy meeting for me, so thanks for doing that, Lisa. Had the LGBTQ advisory committee meeting on Friday. That group is preparing to update you all in October, so we got them that date. We're preparing a presentation for you. Last night I had I guess a surprise meeting. This may be a way of saying it. Some of the management group from the Landscape Management Unlimited company, I believe that's what it's called, who manages Three Crowns golf course and the restaurant and pro shop and all that. Some of their upper management was in town visiting the property, and so I was able to meet with them. We spent most of that meeting reviewing the pro forma that was presented to the board before the commitment was made to invest in the improvements at the clubhouse and the refinery restaurant relative to performance today, and really pleased to report that that is far surpassing the initial estimates for what beneficial impact that particular investment could make for that that operation. So hitting what was projected to be 5-year marks at basically year one. So really pleased to see that that investment is going a long way to reducing that particular subsidy. And So the group was very excited about that and, so good to catch up with those folks, talk about future possibilities there. Had Economic Development Joint Powers Board meeting this morning. It was quite short, because, Justin for Advanced Casper was not there, and so we, spent the bulk of that meeting just, reviewing the budget and, discussing, some of what we talked about here in terms of what, information might be helpful, to get from them when it comes time to be dealing with the contract negotiation for, that group. So, that, and then had regional water this afternoon. Big news there. It's been 3 years coming. We were finally able today. I can't believe you missed it, Steve. You're there for the whole long haul, but we were finally able to seat a member from the Bar None Town Council as new representative. We have finished the process of the dissolution of Wardwell Water District. And has now been replaced as operating in that board with the town of Bar None. So that took many, many years of work and effort. And so that transition was made essentially today after the corresponding member entities passed resolutions to allow for the changes to be made to that agreement. So we kind of affirmed that today, put the counselor's name is Frank Schwarzrock from Bar None. And other than that, we had just a couple updates about our major well rehabs that are going on right now. Case on wells, the rehabs are going really well. I'm happy to get into more nerdy depth about it if you want me to, but suffice to say the rehabs basically going well with some unexpected surprises, as you know, you would be hard pressed probably not to find when you were doing the project like that, but overall the outcome has been really positive for those wells. So I think that covers me. I have Metro Animal tomorrow, and I'm going to enjoy a hard hat tour of the Wild Sports Ranch on Thursday with some of y'all. That's it.
Counselor Jensen.
I don't have a whole lot going on this week anyhow, but looking forward to this sports ranch tour and then getting moved back over to our real home. It's been great for the last year and a half or however we've been here, but I'm excited to get over to the new city hall. And I just my other thing was earlier from the guy that made the statement. He didn't say his name, so or at least I didn't catch it. Over in PV, not my ward, but that's Michael and Kyle's and Lisa's, right? I believe. But anyhow, nonetheless, it's Casper, and it raised a lot of concerns for me too. And I hate hearing things like that are still happening a lot in our neighborhoods. So I'm curious and interested in following that and to see what else can happen or what has happened and try to find some sort of resolution for the family who clearly, not safe area. At least the picture isn't painted as it's safe for a kid to be playing outside when there's people causing ruckus around. So anxious to hear and get the gaps filled into that. Otherwise, that's all I got, as long as we can continue to follow up and find some sort of resolution for that problem. That's it.
Thank you. Counselor Haskins.
Counselor Bond kind of left me hanging, but I didn't really have a whole lot more than him on that. But it looks like between Natrona County Health Department kind of delivered the driving to the health collectives. So the good news for us is they have money. So that will help keep this moving forward and involve the youth, which is something that the Blue Heart Collaborative and other groups have a hard time with. Sometimes the kids don't do things for free or without food. So that sounds promising. The main focus right now is getting all the resources in one place. But we also talked about youth and how they have nothing to do. We hear that all the time. So I put some things together. I'm trying to look like I know what I'm talking about. So I know you just love it when people do this, Steve. So this is for you. Tomorrow, David Street has a beach bash from 5 to 8. Saturday is Washington Park Hops in the Park. And child-centered, there is a handful of things going on. Cinema in the Station on Friday. Migration, that's a duck movie and I haven't seen it, so you might see me down there.
Last one.
It is the last one, thank you. And the Blue Heart Collaborative is doing buckets for Bobby, the 3v3, or is it 3-on-3 on Friday? Saturday, they're doing Love for Linnea, which is skating at the link with DJ Nike. And Sunday, the group that's putting it off came down and spoke with us. Kim Walker Smith will be at David Street Station at 5. And Monday, they all go back to school. That's all I. Oh, you. Pick up my slides.
Don't have that much, honestly.
Councilor Jamrow.
So I unfortunately missed our last Downtown Development Authority Board meeting. I was attending the Chamber of Commerce's State of the Nation luncheon that occurred at the same time. I wanted to thank Representative Hageman and Senator Brasso for attending and answering questions from the crowd, as well as the Chamber for hosting. I'm always really appreciative of that kind of access that we get to our elected officials. We're very lucky to live in Wyoming where we have that sort of access, and I'm thankful for it. I believe it's now public. Well, I know it's now public. They've posted on their Facebook that we've hired Brian Hoos as the new executive director of the Downtown Development Authority. He comes to us. He was most recently the program coordinator for the Unaccompanied Student Initiative. He's spent 20 years working for the United States Marshal's Office. He has a very diverse background. He's a very driven dude, from what I can tell. Settling into the new office that we've procured for the Downtown Development Authority, and I really look forward to meeting him. I think he's going to do a great job down there. We had a Casper Housing Authority board meeting last Thursday. There's several openings at some of their facilities right now, so it is possible to get placement if you know anyone who might be in need. Their most recent audit is wrapping up. They get a couple dozen a year, so it's just one of many, but it looks really good. The auditor said for an organization of that size, it was the cleanest books they'd ever seen. So props to Kim and her crew for being very diligent in their financial management. And then next Tuesday, unfortunately, it's the same time as our city council meeting, but Wyoming Community Development Authority is having an affordable housing forum at Casper College. And so I would encourage folks, if affordable housing is a topic that interests you, or you'd like to see some local movement on, I'd encourage folks to go and maybe potentially relay whatever insights you might glean to us, since we'll unfortunately be hanging out here at that time. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Sutherland.
Thank you. I got to do a tour of the Casper Reentry Center last week, and I just wanted to thank them for creating that space for us to be able to go and learn more about what's being done there. I think the partnership between the city and the CRC it just sounds like it's a great development that had been done previously and that we're now re-engaging with. So specifically Fleur and Letitia, thank you for getting us back in touch and working on that. So that was really good, and I learned a lot. I also attended the Youth Mental Health Collective meeting today, and I think, two of the things that feel really important coming out of that. I mean, the first Councilor Bond referenced, but they're working right now. The focus is on building a consolidated, centralized resource guide for the community, for practitioners, for schools to be able to use as a reference for connecting people who are working with youth or parents or guardians to be able to find the resources that they need to connect youth to them. So rather than all of the disparate resources that we have, which there's a lot of confidence that there are big resources out there, the effort is to centralize it so we know how to figure out where they are and better make those connections for youth who need help or are seeking help or who are in crisis. So that will be great. And as Counselor Haskins mentioned, the Natrona County Health Collective, Trust, has taken leadership and is going to be managing that process of developing the guide, but is also seeking to essentially build out an action plan that would help us understand how youth move through our juvenile justice system. So the goal is to complement the work that the Natrona Council for Safety and Justice is doing on our criminal justice for adults, and understand how we can also create more partnerships, better kind of holistic understanding of what happens for juveniles as they move through that system and re-enter the community. So there's been a lot of good progress with what was formerly the SIM project and then now's NCSJ. And it looks like they'll be able to expand that into thinking about how youth engage with our justice system. So I think that's really, really good for our community. There's a lot of strategic thinking and strategic planning. And with that in mind, on September 17th, the trust and the youth mental health collective is going to be doing a resource mapping exercise from 4 to 6. It's not necessarily a public opportunity to come, but for people who have resources and understand what resources are available for youth, they're really trying to get as many people involved in getting them there. So especially for our city agencies and people, if you know organizations, I think they've done a great job so far, but they're just gathering any recommendations that we can suggest to them to put forward. Essentially programs, organizations, individuals, opportunities for that relate to youth and mental health. And they're gonna map it all and put it into that guide. So the more people that we get involved, obviously the more robust the guide will be. So I think that that's a great development. It's obviously a major issue that's close to our hearts. So I hope that we can be good partners in helping that collective. The last thing is just, I also attended the LGBTQ meeting. Amber, I'm sorry if you said this, but one of the things that I was recalling from the meeting that I thought was really good is that in conducting the review of kind of community-wide resources and opportunities for improvement around supporting our LGBT community, it looks like there are some ways and recommendations that might come forward for the city specifically. So I'm hoping that when the committee comes to us for their annual report, there might be some specific recommendations that we can take on board to better support the community as the city. So I think that will be a great development if we can get there. And that's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Foster.
I'm not gonna be nearly as wordy.
I'm sorry.
I don't got that much. I did attend the State of the Nation with Hageman and Barrasso. That was very informative. And I do, like Kyle, enjoy those kind of meetings. For that housing reform, and I think it's for realtors because I signed up for it, but it is, for us, it is that day, but it's at 10 a.m. So I'm going to be attending that. So then they did send us questionnaires, or I guess the brokers questionnaires of what we want to discuss. So I did fill that out too. So that should be fun.
Tell us about it.
It's going to be an interesting meeting. And so then I do have the Wyoming Sports Ranch tour on Thursday, and that is it. So
thank you. Well, I had the pleasure last Monday of, a week ago of, on the 12th of swearing in a new police officer, Colton Lewis. So we have a new member there on board, trying to get my Mondays all squared away. And thank you for doing the address welcoming the Masons. So thank you for that. Also attended the Hagerman lunch Senator Brasso was there. That was their State of the Nation addresses back to us, and a lot of facts and figures, and a lot of work coming through. Hopefully, they can go ahead and finally pass a budget and stop all of the continuing resolutions, because it looks like if they will pass the budget, we could wind up with some money here. So we're hoping for that. Attended the Mayor Commissioners Breakfast. We had a good discussion there, talking about some agreements between the city and the county for putting in a columbarium at our cemetery for the unclaimed remains that we wind up with through the coroner's office. So that looks to be something that will be forthcoming from that standpoint. Also, it was mentioned briefly that school starts on Monday. They have started running the school crossing school zone lights. Be careful, be aware, retrain, slow down, watch for the youngsters. The last thing we need is one of those youngsters, because they're back in training again as well. So they may not be as astute at the crossings either. So keep your eyes open and beware for them. And you still have 7 minutes to vote, so get out there and get it done. So the next meeting of the city council will be a work session to be held at 4:30 p.m. on Tuesday, August 27th, and a regular council meeting to be held at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, September 3rd. We are adjourned.
I forgot one other thing, one quick thing. It was just like the Halo project off the Spin Center. Is there any way we could just get something in the info packet or just something just to kind of just let us know how things are going, where we're at in that process? I know I've sent several people to Liz.
I'm sorry.
Just gonna.
Thank you. Thank you. The chair would now entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Any abstentions or nay votes? I'll vote nay. No.
Yeah.
All voting aye.
Aye.
The meeting is adjourned.